The first concept in the previous class that we discussed was the relationship between private, public, and hybrid clouds. So here we saw the connectivity, like logically how these three types of networks are interconnected. You can see here one private cloud which uses yeah this is a private cloud. You can see here which uses IBM RC2 to provide private cloud services to an organization. And here you can see the public internet. When I say public internet, so this public cloud is built upon the internet. So therefore, upon the internet, you can see Azure, Amazon, IBM Blue Cloud, Google App Engine, Salesforce, and other cloud networks, how they are interconnected. That means even you can interconnect the cloud networks. And what happens if you interconnect your private cloud with the public cloud? It has become a hybrid. So when we interconnect our private cloud with public cloud, tell me the situation, students. When we interconnect our private cloud with the public cloud, tell me. Anyone? Can you tell me when we will connect our private cloud with the public cloud? Tell me. Hello, anyone? Anyone, can you answer this question? When we will connect private cloud with the public cloud, what could be the reason? Hello. Hello, students, anyone? Arjun? Ginger Singh?
Sir.
Yeah, tell me when we will connect private cloud with the public cloud.
Sir, to allow the data or apps like work between two environment.
Not exactly. See, first of all, the concept of private cloud is for the reason of security. For security reasons, first of all, we go with private cloud. But still, sometimes what happens if you don't have enough resources, which are part of your private network. Say, for example, you want to test your application in a larger scale. Say, for example, you are developing an application for your client, which is about to use with larger number of clients. So you don't have enough instances, virtual instances in your private setup to test the application. So at that time, you may take the help of public cloud, isn't it? That means you may purchase some of the instances from any of the public cloud like Microsoft Azure or Amazon AWS or something like that. Then you can test the application. That means you are borrowing the resources from public cloud. So at that time, what happens? Your network becomes, so earlier yours was a private cloud, now it has become hybrid cloud. Okay, and another reason when we may connect with public cloud is, so when your client base increases substantially, and at the same time, if you are unable to upgrade your private cloud, that means if you are unable to expand your private cloud setup, then obviously you may have to take the help of public cloud. That means when you fail to cater the needs of your clients using your private cloud network, then obviously you may have to take the help of public cloud. And another instance, when you want to test using very large number of instances, and those many instances are in case not available with your private cloud setup, then you may have to take the help of public cloud networks. And look at here what the typical cloud setup contains. It contains cloud service queues. Then there is a web service API. That means this is the front end using which you can avail the services of public cloud. And this cloud service queue, it will tell you like what are the service available, what kind of public cloud services available. Based upon that, you can select the appropriate service, and how it will work. It will entirely depend upon the data centers, and the data center mainly contains clusters of servers, which contains virtual machines and connected to cloud storage. So that is what this diagram tells you. After that, we also saw the differences between public clouds and private clouds. And to depict these differences, we considered several characteristics which are common across both public and private clouds. So based upon those characteristics, we differentiated public cloud and private cloud. And those characteristics are technology leverage and ownership, management of provisioned resources, workload distribution methods and loading policies, security and data privacy enforcement, and some of the examples for private cloud platforms and public cloud platforms. And at the same time, we also saw like the IT cost model. So what was the traditional cost model? In case of traditional cost model, you can see here clearly there are two components, fixed cost and variable cost. And whereas when you go with the cloud model, there is no fixed cost, everything is variable, because there is no upfront commitment when you go for cloud. Only thing that you need is to interact with the cloud. You need some laptops provided with internet. That's it. So therefore, what are the softwares and what are the resources that you consume are virtual, and they are metered. That means for how much you consume, you will get the bill, and you have to pay for that. So that's the difference between the cost models of traditional IT cost model and cloud-based cost model. And another thing that we discussed was the IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS service models at different levels. Here at the bottom level, we have IaaS, that is information as a service. It provides services to platform. So you can see here, the platform is launch queue, launch controller, monitor queue. So what are these? These are the layers of software. These are all the software components, what you're seeing here. And in the bottommost layer, you have one more thing called as DaaS, that is data as a service, which is actually part of infrastructure. Providing data related services are also part of infrastructure as a service. Then at the topmost layer, we have the software as a service. That means what the cloud providers will do, they'll develop the software and they will install it in the data centers, and using the cloud interface, the users will access that software, but actually that will be running in the data center, but they'll be having the assumption that everything is running in their own local machine. So that service is called as software as a service. To run the software, what is required? Mainly the platform, virtual platform. So that virtual platform related services are provided by PaaS layer, that is platform as a service. And some of the softwares that are part of SaaS are like billing queue, billing service, and so on. See, every cloud provider will provide an interface using which you can so that is one of the service, billing service. You can see how much, as of now, how much billing you have done and how many resources you have used and what kind of resources you have used, whether you have used application server, web server, operating system, processors. everything, let it be hardware resource or software resource or any platform related resource. So for everything, you can see how much it is charging. Up to here we had discussed, isn't it? Now we'll see in detail what is infrastructure as a service. See, already we know what is infrastructure, platform, and software. Just it is just like an brushing up the concepts once again. Infrastructure as a service, it is called as the most basic cloud service model because always the bottom that forms the fundamental, isn't it? So what is the bottom layer? Here you can see here. Here, what is the bottommost layer? IaaS. So therefore, that is the basic cloud service model. Cloud providers offers computers as physical or more often as virtual machines and other resources. That means even you can provide a computer as a virtual machine, as a virtual resource, isn't it? What happens if you purchase an EC2 instance in Amazon AWS? To use that, you may have to do remote login into a computer. So that is the virtual computer. That means you will do login into the remote computer in which whatever the operating system that you have selected is installed, and there you start loading your applications and you testing, and you can test your applications, or you can host the application and make it publicly available. Then virtual machines are run as guests by hypervisor such as Zen or KVM. Virtual machines will run as guests by hypervisor. That means always virtual machines are created upon hypervisor. If there is no hypervisor, then there is no virtual machine, isn't it? Many of you are thinking that virtual machine itself, there is nothing like hypervisor. There is only virtual machine. You have installed the virtual machine and creating the instances. It is not like that. First, you need to install whatever you install the virtualization layer. That virtualization layer is called as a hypervisor. The example for that is the Zen hypervisor and KVM or KVM. And popularly, the examples what we know are VMware and Oracle virtual machines. Okay, so what we use normally is VMware and Oracle. Similarly, there are Zen and KVM. Then cloud users deploy their applications by then installing operating system images on the machines as well as their application software. So what we do with virtual machines, upon the virtual machines, we install an operating system of our choice. Then we keep installing the applications. Cloud providers typically bill IaaS services on a utility computing basis. That is, cost will reflect the amount of resources allocated and consumed. That means, example for IaaS related billing is how many processors you are using, how many cores you are using, how many how much of data storage you are requesting with the cloud provider. For all those things, it will be charged. And at the same time, bandwidth also you can select. Although bandwidth is something related to network, isn't it? So network related resources, storage related resources, and computing related resources will come under infrastructure as a service. Examples of IaaS service include Amazon CloudFormation and underlying services such as Amazon EC2. So example is Amazon EC2, then Rackspace Cloud, Terramark, and Google Compute Engine. These are the examples for infrastructure as a service. See, whatever we call it as EC2 in Amazon, okay, same service is provided by Google Compute Engine. If you use GAE, when you use Google Cloud or Google App Engine, there is a service called as Google Compute Engine, which is similar to EC2. Some IaaS offerings from public clouds. memory to 1.69 terabytes of storage. Okay, that means when we select an EC2 instance, usually, so this is the configuration. And what are the APIs and access tools are? Web Service Portal. You can use Web Service Portal or CLI. So then the types of hypervisors that supports for Amazon EC2 is Zen hypervisors, Linux hypervisors, and Windows based hypervisors. So Windows Hyper-V. Windows is having Windows Hyper-V that supports this Amazon EC2. So these are all the things which can act as an guest operating system or hypervisor for Amazon EC2. So it can be either hypervisor or guest OS. Linux is not a hypervisor, it's a guest operating system. Zen is an hypervisor. Windows, it's an operating system. At the same time, Windows is having its own hypervisor called as Hyper-V. Then there is one more public cloud provider called as GoGrid. Each instance has 1 to 6 CPUs and 0.5 to 8 GB of memory and 30 to 480 GB of storage. That means if you have minimal resources, if you have minimal requirement, so you can see, you can compare and contrast Amazon EC2 and GoGrid. So GoGrid is not as robust as Amazon EC2 when it comes to capacity. Let it be CPU capacity, RAM capacity, or storage capacity. Okay, it is not as robust as Amazon EC2. But the advantage part of this GoGrid is it supports a lot of APIs and access tools. So REST is an API which supports for web services and Java, PHP, Python, Ruby. Okay, so that is the advantage. There are so many interfaces and APIs using which you can access GoGrid. And it also supports Zen, Linux, and Windows. Whereas Zen is the hypervisor, Linux and Windows are the guest operating systems. Okay, so let us fix with these two popular examples, Amazon EC2 and GoGrid, and you can ignore this Rackspace Cloud and other things. Okay, if you get a question, if you write these two, that's good enough, Amazon EC2 and GoGrid. So now we are done with the infrastructure as a service. So what is the takeaway from this infrastructure as a service means? This is the bottommost layer which provides services to platform as a platform related components, and we know what are the vendors and also what constitutes infrastructure service. That's very, very important. So what constitutes infrastructure service means storage related services, computing related services, and network related services. That comes under IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. Now let us look at platform as a service. Cloud providers deliver a computing platform, typically including operating system, programming language, execution environment, database, and web server. Now, these are the things that forms platform as a service. That is providing operating system services, and then programming language, execution environment. So first of all, you want to execute some program, that should be a runtime environment, execution environment. Okay, that's the one thing, and database. Because when you use application software, sometimes you retrieve the data and sometimes you save the data. So for that, database is required. And to host your application, web server is required. Web server or application server is required. So all these things will come under platform as a service. Students, here one thing you may get confused. See here, database. See, actually, data store is okay. I'll show the diagram 1 minute. Let us go back to the, yeah. You can see here DaaS. What is this? Data as a service, which is also part of IaaS. Okay, and you can see it is providing service to the middle layer, which is actually the platform. So all these components will come under platform as a service. Okay, and Providing data storage is also part of infrastructure as a service. But here what happens, for any application, one simple database is required. Okay, and that simple database, that itself is not actually the data store. So that data will be replicated in multiple locations and that will be preserved. Okay, that whatever that data backup that will be maintained by the cloud, actually that is called as a data store. Okay, that is part of infrastructure as a service. And the one database which is directly connected to the application, that is very much essential. If that is not there, your application cannot be run. So therefore, that's the reason why they are including here the database as part of platform as a service. Say for example, let us assume students, you have developed one library management system software. Okay, then you need database to store the details of the library and its users and so on. If that database itself is not there, then you cannot, even after having all the runtime environment, everything, that becomes useless. Even your application becomes useless, because it's the main thing is the database in which you will store all the information about your libsys system. And a web server and application server. If you want to test your application or if you want to host your application, you have to deploy it in either web server or application server, isn't it? If your application is heterogeneous application, then obviously application server only is required, or else even the web server is good enough. And students, you need to understand the difference between web server and application server. Okay, so just to try to explore the differences between application server and web server. I think many times I have discussed with you also. I already have told what are the difference between web servers and application servers. So just one example I'll give you. Let us assume, when you say, for example, when we want to develop some heterogeneous applications, if we use EJB. So when you use EJB and when you're developing a heterogeneous application, that means which can communicate with enterprise level applications, especially. So I want to call them as enterprise level applications that can interact with many other applications which are developed in some other languages as well. So when you want to host such an application, your web server is not good enough. You need to have application server. So there you use WebLogic, not the Apache Tomcat. Okay, like that. Then application developers develop and run their software on a cloud platform without the cost and complexity of buying and managing the underlying hardware and software layers. That means the application developers can develop their code without buying any software licenses, then without having any runtime support in their local machine, and without buying any extra hardware, just by using a simple laptop and using the cloud interface, they can work actually. So that means everything is virtual. Every resource that they consume is virtual resource. So such a service is provided by platform as a service. So that means you can get the SDK from cloud, then you can get the program runtime environment from the cloud, then you can get the virtual database from the cloud, everything. And examples of platform as a service include Amazon Elastic, Beanstalk. Remember the component name, students. Elastic, Beanstalk. Then Cloud Foundry, Heroku. Heroku is the open source server in which you can host your applications free of cost. Heroku server. Force.com, Microsoft Azure, and OrangeScape, and also Google App Engine. So these are the examples of the platform as a service. Okay, let us see. Let us assume 5 public cloud offerings: Google App Engine, Salesforce.com, Microsoft Azure, Amazon Elastic, MapReduce, and Aneka. Google App Engine, first of all, languages and developer tools that it provides it provides support for the Python based application development, Java based application development, and it provides Eclipse IDE. So what kind of IDE it is? Virtual IDE. If you use Google App Engine, see everything starting from the scratch, you can completely rely upon Google App Engine to develop the code, to get the libraries, to get the, you can see Eclipse IDE, data store, everything. And programming models that it supports are MapReduce, that's a programming model. Web programming on demand, it provides. Then target applications and storage option, web applications and Bigtable storage. Web applications and Bigtable storage. Bigtable is one of the storage related component provided by Google App Engine. Later we'll see what it is, Bigtable. Then when it comes to Salesforce.com, there is a component called as Force.com, which provides the platform services, which includes Apex, Eclipse-based IDE, and web-based wizard. What is this Apex? Apex is a language supported by Salesforce.com. Apex, that's a language. Then programming model, workflow. See, workflow means like if you want to do any task, you need to create an workflow. It's an pictorial representation or the diagrammatic representation that is called as a workflow. So most of the times that is used in RPA. So you know what is RPA, students? Anyone? RPA, robotic process automation. When you deal with robotic, especially that's one application of workflow. When you deal with robotic process automation, say for example, using RPA, you can do web scraping, web data scraping. For that, you can create a workflow. Say for example, my requirement is like I want to open Amazon portal and I want to download the name of the components, like say for example, I want to buy one badminton racket. I want to know the companies which are providing the very good badminton rackets within the price range of 2000 to 4000 rupees. So that data can be fetched, and that process is called as data scraping, and that will be stored in the form of Excel or some format. Okay, that task can be automated by creating a workflow. And process of doing that is called as data scraping. And that is part of robotic process automation. That means instead of you doing it manually, the software is doing it. Then programming models that it supports, supported by Salesforce.com, includes workflow, then Excel like formula. That means how you can see to compute certain things in Excel, you can apply some formula. Such facility is also available with Salesforce, because you know Salesforce is ideally meant for businesses. Okay, business people, companies will only use Salesforce, and it is not suited for academics and research purposes. Then web programming on demand, and it also supports for web programming on demand. Then target applications are business applications such as CRM. So that's why I told it is ideally suited for businesses. It always targets business related applications. That is, CRM means customer relationship management, and also ERP. ERP means enterprise resource planning. Similarly, Microsoft Azure, programming languages supported by it are .NET, then Azure tools for Microsoft Visual Studio. Then programming models. So unrestricted, that means you say any programming model, it supports every programming model, which also includes MapReduce, web programming, and so on. Then targeted applications, enterprise level applications and web applications. Similarly, if you look at Aneka, .NET, and standalone SDK. So what is that standalone SDK? It provides its own SDK. Aneka is having its own software development kits that is called as standalone SDK. Then it provides already thread-based programming model, task-based programming model, and MapReduce. And the target applications are .NET Enterprise applications and HPC. What is HPC? What is HTC and HPC? High throughput computing, high performance computing. HPC means high performance computing. HTC means high throughput computing. Similarly, you can see Amazon Elastic MapReduce. It supports for Hive, Pig, Cascading Java, Ruby, Perl, Python, PHP, and R and C++. What are these? All these things are programming languages and tools. Hive is a tool. So Pig also, and Cascading. Then Java, Ruby, Perl, Python, PHP, R, and C++. These are all programming languages. And programming model supported by Amazon is MapReduce. You can see here the drawback of this Amazon Elastic MapReduce is it supports for only MapReduce. Then data processing and e-commerce. Its target applications are data processing and e-commerce. Finally, software as a service. As I told, the meaning of software as a service is, see, the cloud service providers, they'll develop the software and they'll install it in their data centers. And we being the end users, using the web interface of the cloud provider, we access those softwares virtually. And we will be having the feeling as if it is running in our local machine itself. It is installed in our local machine and we are accessing it. So actually it is installed in the cloud data centers. Cloud providers install and operate application software in the cloud, and cloud users access the software from cloud clients. Yes, cloud clients means interface. Using the web interface of the cloud provider, we can access it. The pricing model for SaaS applications is typically a monthly or yearly flat fee per user. So price is scalable and adjustable if users are added or removed at any time. That means when I say a company, the users are removed and added, and the pricing will be adjusted, and it is scalable. Then examples for SaaS include Google Apps. Google Apps are the example for software as a service. Then InKey Post, that is one of the example of SaaS. Then popularly Salesforce.com and Microsoft Office 365. So popular examples for us is Google Apps and Microsoft Office 365. These two you can remember as an example for software as a service. Google Apps and Microsoft Office 365. See, Google Apps means there are so many components. Students, can you tell me any 5 components that comes under Google Apps?
Gmail, YouTube.
Yes, Gmail, YouTube, Google Calendar, Google Classroom, isn't it? There are so many components. Google Forms. There are so many components which are part of Google Apps. Similarly, Microsoft, what are the things that comes under Microsoft Office 365?
PowerPoint, sir, Excel sheet.
Yeah, PowerPoint, Excel sheet, then Word, then PDF, then Microsoft Groove, and so on. Those are all the things, software components which are part of Microsoft Office 365. Okay, students, from next class, see, this week, students, what I have planned is, So I'll finish up with the concepts, and in the next week I'll start with the demos. In the last semester, I was able to set up some virtual clouds, some virtual cloud setup. Then I used to give demos. This time, what happened? I don't have any such support from anybody this time, so I am not able to set up my cloud this time to demonstrate for you. So what I'll do is this time, anyhow, in the last semester for your seniors, I have done the demonstrations and I have documented the videos. I have those videos. Then I can show those videos and explain it to you. That means in the next week or maybe this Thursday, we will see demo of virtualization. See, demo of virtualization means starting from the scratch. Just if I give you one dedicated server machine, that means only the hardware. Okay, it's a just brand new machine. How you can do virtualization starting from the scratch. Okay, I can teach you. Okay, that I have done in the last semester. Then after that, there is one more demo of Amazon AWS. Okay, how to interface with Amazon AWS, how to create an account, then how to hire resources from Amazon AWS, then install one guest operating system in that, then create our own application, then how to test it. Okay, that much. Okay, that much I can show you as a demonstration. Okay, that we will do either this Thursday or next coming Monday. Students, 1 minute, I want to take the attendance. Just wait a minute. Asta Bachawat?
Present, sir.
Abhinav? Abhinav absent? Aishwarya?
Present, sir.
Arbaz Khan? Arbaz Khan? Arjun?
Present, sir.
Bhargavi?
Present, sir.
Deb Malia?
Present,
Deb
sir.
Malia. Have you filled the exam form?
Present,
Deb
sir.
Malia? Filled.
Yes,
Exam
yes,
form.
sir.
Challenging revolution.
Sir, revolution form.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You have to
Today
finish
or
it today.
tomorrow I will.
Not tomorrow,
Yeah,
today
yeah.
you finish it. We don't have much time because after that, you know, right, what are the problems that happens with you? It takes a lot of time for us.
Okay.
Deepika,
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Present, sir.
Gangubai,
Present, sir.
Guria Kumari,
Present, sir.
Junjar Singh,
Present, sir.
Kavya,
Present, sir.
Lata,
Yes, sir.
Manisha,
Present, sir.
Pavitra,
Present, sir.
Maithili,
Present, sir.
Priyanka,
Present, sir.
Pawan,
Present, sir.
Akash, Rakesh,
Present, sir.
Ravishankar, Rizwan,
Present, sir.
Vishal,
Present, sir.
Savita,
Yes, sir.
Shruti,
Present, sir.
Sneha, Purti,
Present, sir.
Yes, Srinidhi,
Sir, present, sir.
Present, sir.
Vaishnavi,
Present, sir.
Vinny Rana.
Present, sir.
That's all, students. We'll meet in the tomorrow's class. Thank you.